Chapter 77. To say the least at Raven's out of the left field question, I promptly began choking on the spicy chicken strip burrito as the very earth seemingly conspired to kill me, as when I inhaled at the feeling of the chicken partially lodging itself in my esophagus I felt the ultra-spicy sauces get shot into my nasal passageway like when you laugh when you are drinking soda and it gets up into your nose. So, to say the least, the ultra-spicy sauces hurt far more than soda would. Is this how I die? Choking to death on an overpriced Chipotle burrito. I thought, panicking before I managed to take a drink of water to push down the chicken. I glared down at Raven through my watery eyes while she just raised an eyebrow sassily. Who the hell brings that up in public conversation, especially when someone is eating spicy food? I stabbed back, frowning as I considered dropping her pale little ass in Antarctica for her to chill out for a bit if the lust we created while fucking was messing with her. Raven snorted as she just sipped at her drink before putting the drink down to respond. Jake, this is the middle of the damned mall. If we aren't shouting, the ambient noise will drown out our voices. So, spill, what even are you and Galatea? I know Astrid is some kind of super fairy from my own magical research, but what even are you and Galatea? At Raven's question, I pondered how to answer her question before shrugging as I answered. Galatea is a Kryptonian, basically a human but with the ridiculous ability to absorb solar energies that grant them an array of powers. For myself, I am what's called a Vastolord. Our powers are based on dealing with spiritual energies to do any number of things, and as for why, we are fucking a lot. We simply like it, and Astrid is bound to me as my Fey Knight and thus experiences the same joys and pains that I do. I explained with a wry smile, as Astrid was a bit of a spur-of-the-moment thing. You can only have someone offering to gladly get you off as they get pleasure off of giving you the same for so long, and then offer your woman the same treatment before barriers begin to break down between the three of us. That and oral sex for either a man or woman while still wearing clothes is hot as hell, as she could open shadows wherever they existed, even if Galatea was iffy about it for a while. You literally cannot hate someone who wakes you up with breakfast and eats you out in her case. Now, as for why sex would go so long with us. Well, that was simply because we were superhuman. We didn't get chaffed nearly as easily, we simply didn't get tired or sore, so the pleasure wouldn't get interrupted, and most importantly, we could both fly, and in Galatea's case she could just tell gravity to fuck off, so we had countless positions we could try out. So, you both are just degenerates, Raven stated, earning an eye roll from myself. Coming from a half-demon that's rich. I pointed out, and Raven twitched as I leaned closer with my soul's essence filled around her surroundings while not touching any of the other mall's occupants. No, I see how deeply you leash yourself to your emotional training to make sure that Trigon cannot get a hold of your consciousness. But remember, you are not Trigon's daughter anymore. You are my subject, a citizen of my realm, and thus your soul is mine. I spoke solemnly as my soul's power smothered her in its embrace. As my soul blanketed hers, I felt her sins, the alternate selves that she created to weaken her demonic heritage, rise to push me off Raven's soul. But with a flex of my will that held together a world and was constantly grinding down a chaos lord, her alternate selves were wiped clean of their emotions as they became pure soul energy. Although the pure soul energy made my hollow instincts all but howl in hunger at their slight demonic taint, I just allowed the pure soul energy to slide back into Raven, making her shudder as her soul and even her magic grew 6 times stronger, with all her sins other than pride being wiped clean of ego and merging back into her soul. Understand this, Raven of Hucomundo, you are not the daughter of Trigon anymore. You are mine, and within my realm. Even if your father comes, I will be able to defeat him, and his fate will be the same as the Chaos Lord who faced against me. I finished solemnly before I frowned, rolling my eyes as my pesquisa picked up something I damned hope I wouldn't. Yes. Jake. Raven spoke, and I could tell my proof of power had reached her, and to say the least heavily excited her demonic side of consciousness. But now I had another fish to fry. Astrid, stick with Raven in her shadow to take her back home after she is done shopping. I have some old friends to talk to, I ordered with a frown, and from my pant leg, I felt thick shadows push through as Astrid's thick shadow form climbed into the shadow of Raven's clothes, making her grimace. Are you alright, Jake? Do you need help? Raven asked me concernedly. I shook my head, and seeing a stubborn light fill her eyes as she obviously wanted to help me, I explained. It's not like a fight is going to break out, I think. Just an awkward meeting with old friends I parted ways with on a bad note. I said wryly before continuing. Just go ahead and get all the stuff you need for your stay in my realm. I trust you, and even if you desire not to come back, you are free to make your own choices with me not hanging over your shoulders, just tell Astrid your thoughts and she won't do anything. I said, and I could feel sending the emotional equivalent of a pout in my direction. Raven slowly nodded as she stood up, as she knew I wanted to meet these people in as large a crowd as possible. I understand. Can I talk to you back at the castle later? Raven asked as she pulled down her hood to cover her upper face, leaving only her nose and mouth in view. I just waved a hand as I quickly responded. Yeah, that's fine. I only have a meeting with some dwarves that want to inspect the mineral content of my realm, so that won't take long. With that said, Raven gave me a light wave as she walked away while 3 people approached me. In civilian clothes and trying to look as normal as possible as they approached me, were the big 3 of the Justice League. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And they were here to speak to me.